Hello, everyone. We're gonna be actually, I'm gonna try to do more Q&A today. Yeah, so take a lot of your questions. The main topic for the video, for the live stream, excuse me, is Greenspan-Rubin gold leases scheme coming to an end and what it means to the gold price. And yeah, it's something that I've been talking for many years about, and something that I learned actually from Bill Murphy and Chris Powell at Gold Antitrust Action Committee. I started following them over 20 years ago because I noticed that the gold market traded in a funny fashion. And there are some people nowadays who are exposing the way the market works, and we're going to look at that. And but as I said, the viewership and the subscribers is increasing so much that a lot of times it's difficult for me to answer all the questions that you have. So I think on the Sunday like this, it's good. So we'll wait another 8 or 9 minutes to start and cover the main topic, and then we move on to questions from you, and I'll try to answer as many as possible. If you're watching this recorded, maybe jump about 8 minutes forward. I start earlier than the scheduled time, just to say hello to everyone. And it's nice to see all of you here. Jake's Custom Parts is here. He says free Tommy Robinson. Andrew Bevan, he's in sunny St. Lucia for the next 3 weeks. Endurorama, Jake's Custom Parts. It happens regularly. Obviously, the government doesn't provide them press accreditation. Uh, Justin Taylor says, evening, Mario and Rudy. Yeah, Rudy is here, as you can see. He had a haircut recently. David G from Alabama. Manic Miner. Barry. What does Larry think at the table indicate? Well, that he's in charge. That's what it indicates. Over here, hi over here, Man of La Monta. He's in Ecuador. I think I saw some of these comments. Said the gold runs through the rivers there, and lead as well. Quadman 72. Hi, Quadman. Over David Smith. Michael White, would the success of crypto diminish gold and silver in the long run? No. No, that's my answer to that. Uh, Carolyn Wilder, hello, Mary from northeastern Pennsylvania, where the electric power just came back. Wow, 3-day outage. Well, there's talk that we might get some electric power outage, not just in the UK this winter, but also in places like the Netherlands and Germany. We'll have to wait. They'll probably blame it on Putin. Tanis Christie, Monaco 64, loved by Canadians. Thank you. Yes, I did, answer. I signed it yesterday. I tweeted that I signed it. I'm apolitical, but because I think politicians are the same. But this government is wow, they're even worse than the word. They're the worst, really. And so I signed it. When I signed it, it was at 68,000. And yeah, there's a petition for people elsewhere who don't know. There's a petition here in the UK. You have to be a resident or a UK citizen to sign, and it's to call for a general election. And as you can see here, 1.55 million signatures already, and well, 100,000 signatures were needed for Parliament. Parliament will consider this for debate. If it gets more than 100,000, it's got 1.55 million. I think it's going to go into well, we could be at 3 million tomorrow. Let's see what happens. Jono Morin from North Carolina says hello. Jesus Gonzalez, silver is weak. Hio Silver says hi Mario. Doug Wilder from Southern California. Urban Sombrero, how does it feel to be speaking such a world global? I don't like the term global, but well, I mean, it's nice. I mean, I'm quite neutral, I would say. I'm in the UK, but I like talking about things in general that affect everyone all over the world. Maybe that's why I have a lot of people watching from all over the world. It's nice. Scott 49, do you find it funny that central banks dance around interest rates without any thought for time preference, which is literally their whole purpose? Well, central banks, they think they think they know better, that they can manage monetary policy and interest rates. But as you said, the market and time preference really uh, lead interest rates. The central banks now, they're trying to cut rates, but the bond markets are saying something else that, they're saying rates should be higher. Patty Jones says, so happy I made a live. Says, hi, Mara and Rudy. There's Rudy. Yeah, gold, Jake's Custom Part, gold did come back sharply last week. We'll have to see how it does in the coming weeks. James Lavender, you're flat Earth, Mario. Um, well, I mean, I'm open to debate. Yeah. Martin G, what's up, Mario? Jersey in the house. Hope all is well. What do you mean by Jersey in the house? Not sure what that means. Um, what I'm wearing? Um, don't know. YouTube Christians, Mario, me and my cat Puck watch your show every day. It's good to start for the last 3 or 4 years from Central Pennsylvania. Oh, thank you for following me, and I hope what's his name again? Puck is doing well. Karen Brown from North Texas. Rodney Brown. Mario, keep telling the truth from Australia. I will, Rodney. Yeah, I try to as much as possible. Sometimes it's difficult to know what's true and isn't true, but I try my best. Tommy and Tim says the Lord hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man. Not sure what that means. Dutch libertarian, I'm flat earth guy, read Book of Wisdom. Patty Jones from New Jersey. Michael White says thumbs up, everyone. That helps. So we got a minute to the top of the hour. Uh, And Jerome, what do you think of Scott Bessent pick for Treasury Secretary, ex Soros fund partner? Yeah, I mean there are a lot of ex Soros guys, like I think even Druckenmiller, um, that other guy who lives in Singapore. I forgot his name. He had the investment biker. I hadn't really heard much of this guy up until recently, so I don't know. But one thing it shows me, it's a symptom of the fact that the economy has been so financialized that we now have hedge fund managers running the U.S. Treasury. I'm not saying I don't know anything about the guy. He could be a good, I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but it just goes to show what is important to the economy is credit and leverage. So that's all I can say. Apart from that, I don't know much about him. Would have been nice to see someone like Rand Paul or uh, uh, Congressman Massey, Thomas Massey, I think is his name from Kentucky. I would have liked to see him as the Secretary of the Treasury because, yeah, he's a sound money guy. He's a anti and the Fed guy. Apparently, this guy Bessent has criticized the Fed, but I'm not holding my breath about the Fed being terminated or abolished. So, yeah, let's start here. I'm just gonna cover this topic that we have uh, here. It's Greenspan-Rubin gold leases scheme coming to an end and what it means to the dollar. Um, let's start with, let's have a look at this Time magazine cover. And I remember this, seeing that I've been around for a while and I was working already in the financial sector. Time magazine came out with this cover, the Committee to Save the World, and this was after the Asian financial crisis and the Russian bank, Russian default. This was back in 99. So you have Robert Rubin, who was the Secretary of the Treasury under Clinton. And then you have Larry Summers, who was his deputy and then became the Secretary of the Treasury. And of course, here we've got Mr. Magoo or Alan Greenspan, who was chairman of the Federal Reserve from 87, I think, to 2006 or thereabouts. And he instituted, of course, the Greenspan put. But one of the things that's interesting about Rubin and also Summers is that Rubin he uh he was the head of Goldman Sachs before going to the US Treasury, and at Goldman Sachs his department his he started out in a firm called J. Aaron, and they were bullion traders or like a bullion bank. It was the bullion trading part of Goldman Sachs. And then he rose to head Goldman Sachs. And then he went to the US Treasury. And uh, Larry Summers, he was more of an academic, but when he was at Harvard, he wrote a paper with another guy about something called Gibson's paradox, uh, which which talks about the inverse relationship between the price of gold and the real interest rate. So you have here, as I showed you here in this Time magazine cover, you've got the guy who was a gold bullion dealer at Goldman Sachs as Secretary of the Treasury. And then you've got here the guy who wrote about Gibson's paradox. And Gibson's paradox basically said that since the 70s, the way to keep to let's say if the gold price starts going up, it means that interest rates are too low and that they need to go up, right? And if the gold price is down, it means that interest rates are high enough and that the dollar is strong enough, and people have confidence in the fiat dollar. And then you have Greenspan, who actually knew a lot about gold and still does, of course. He wrote Gold and Economic Freedom. He said that he wanted to run the Fed as if they were on a gold standard, even though they weren't. So what do they do? Well, they started a leasing program, and this is what Vince Lancy talks about in this article, actually from yesterday in the Jerusalem Post. Fort Knox holds nothing but moths and half-eaten IOUs. So he's going on about what they started out in the 90s. It was, I remember Robert Rubin always saying that we have a strong dollar policy, and the dollar stayed strong in the 90s up until 2000. And the reason why it stayed strong is because the Treasury started leasing a lot of its gold to the bullion banks, and the bullion banks took that gold, they leased it out, and they raised dollars with it and invested probably in bonds and treasuries, and it drove interest rates lower and it drove the price of gold lower. But and this scheme has continued up until recently, I would say, and now I think they're having problems with it. Why was it able to continue? And I'm going to put a link to this article in the chat in a minute. While they were able to continue because gold has not been, up until now, has not been a method of exchange. It's been demonetized. So nobody really ever wanted physical gold except for people like us, gold bugs, and some investors who are in the know, some big investors. So they were able to keep leasing. And he talks, but he talks about there's some cracks in the system, like when Germany asked for its physical gold back from the New York Fed, it took like 4 years for them to get it back. That's because the Treasury's probably leased out all its gold to the bullion banks. It's all encumbered. And they do the same thing, of course, here at the Bank of England with other people's gold. So I'm gonna, I'm gonna stop sharing here and put a link to this article here in the chat. And if it was a little bit complicated for you to understand, I recommend you read it because I just wanted to talk broadly about that. And I've known about this for, well, almost ever since I started buying gold. And why is that? Well, because I was in the financial markets. I worked as a broker in the government bond market. And when I bought gold for the first time in '02, I started following it a lot closer. I followed it every day because I was in front of a screen every day trading other stuff so I could follow gold. And I noticed that the gold always traded the same way every day, almost literally every day. And that's not normal because markets are more random. So I looked into that and I found these guys here, GATA, Gold Antitrust Action Committee. And they started out in 1999. Bill Murphy, who I've had on the channel, and Chris Powell. And they basically were the pioneers of this kind of this kind of research and analysis. And what else? Yeah, and they said that one day the bullion banks would be taken out on a stretcher because people would start demanding payments. They would start exchanging things for gold. It would become a method of exchange again. It would be monetized. And I think that's what's happening with the BRICS. And it's accelerated ever since 2022 when Russian reserves were frozen, and now countries they want to diversify away from treasuries and paper, and they want real gold. And I think that's why this is going to happen. That's why we're seeing the price of gold up over 30% this year. And I think it's going to continue because the bullion banks are going to have to cover all their shorts. Uh, and a lot of these central banks, like the Fed, Bank of England, ECB, they think they have the gold, but the bullion banks have leased it out many times, and the gold's gone. So if they want it back, they're going to have to go into the market. And he also mentions Judy Shelton's new book, which I've talked about in the video. I read the book. It's called As Good as Gold. She's proposing using the US Treasury gold, the 8,300 tons that has never been audited, as a cover for issuing gold-backed bonds. Um, so she doesn't talk about an audit in the book, but someone said that recently she's been interviewed and she said, yes, we need an audit. I don't think there's any gold there. So, and how would this affect the price? Well, um, what's been happening is that the bullion banks, with all this gold that's been leased for over 30 years to them, they've lent it out many times, especially in London, and a lot of the American bullion banks deal through London. So the only way to close out those leases is to buy it back. And what happens when you buy back the leases? Well, the price goes up. And this is why I've been telling people ever since I learned about this over 20 years ago that the only way to defeat the bullion banks and the central banks is not to buy paper, but to buy physical gold and silver. I know we as small investors, uh, as one investor, we don't make too much of a difference, but all of us together, thousands or hundreds of thousands, even millions, if we start buying physical gold and silver, it's going to make a big difference. And that's why I don't like paper. Anyway, I'm going to stop it here. Hopefully, you guys will read that article that I put in the chat. It's really interesting. And go check out also gata.org. They're a good source if you want to learn more about the gold leasing program. And yeah, so now I'll take your questions as they come. So I'm gonna, yeah, sit back and take your questions. I'm on my own tonight. Clive couldn't make it, and yeah, but not a problem. Riyadh Baksh, good evening. Can you comment on the implications of the recent comment by Senator Loomis, where she stated they could reprice the gold certificates the Fed holds at $40. It's $42.22 actually. Uh, I think that would be pretty significant because that price has been at 42.22 actually. Well, it went from 35 to 38, and then the final revaluation was in 73 to $42.22. And they've kept it there since 1973. And why do they do that? I mean, some people have asked, what's the point? Well, the point is to just pretend that gold is not important, that they can just price it at 42.22, that that the Fed doesn't need these gold to help its balance sheet. So I think it would be highly significant if they revalued that. if they revalued it to market and left it floating, that would be, I think that would be the end of the paper dollar, as we know. So I think it's very significant. Richard Peicher's no gold in the new administration wants an audit. So how desperate will it make this present government? Well, I remember that Steve Mnuchin, who was Trump's first Secretary of the Treasury, he visited Fort Knox, and he held a gold bar, and he said, "Gold is good." And he didn't say or gold is safe or something. He said gold is safe or gold is good. He didn't say the gold here is safe, which is kind of interesting. So who knows what's going to happen? Richard Eastman, did the Austrian school giants short shrift discussion of deflation compared to the great emphasis on money supply, inflation, and its effects on prices? Um, the thing is, I don't think I'm not sure. I mean, if they shifted the discussion on deflation, uh, mainly deflation is when you shrink the money supply, when the money supply goes down, and that's what deflation is. Inflation is the increase in the supply of currency out of thin air, and the Austrians were trying to expose fiat currency and government spending. So that's what they're trying to point to. In a fiat currency system and in the Keynesian world, there's hardly ever any deflation. There was deflation in the 30s, but that was before they went full Keynesian. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think they did. Over here says he also said get your savings out of banks so they have nothing to manipulate with. That's right. That's the same thing with BlackRock. A lot of people are upset that Larry Fink is meeting the UK government every other month or so, and that it looks like the idea here is to implode the economy and let Larry Fink, BlackRock, and other big funds buy the UK. Well, the only reason BlackRock has 11 trillion under management is that people allow their money or their funds to be invested in BlackRock funds. So yeah, not only take your money out of the banks, take your money out of BlackRock. I know a lot of people have pension funds with their companies or whatever, and they probably put it with BlackRock. But if you don't like BlackRock, well, stop putting your money into these pension funds or tell your pension fund that you don't want them to invest in BlackRock. It's simple. Elka says gold is not liquid. No, gold is the most liquid. Yeah, it's the most marketable commodity. If it wasn't, it wouldn't be money. And you can take a gold sovereign that I have here anywhere in the world, and you will find a place where they will exchange it for the local currency. But if you take paper money, uh, around the world. They might exchange dollars some places, but they won't exchange it everywhere, nor pounds nor euros. So gold is the most liquid thing, really, most marketable and liquid. And I'd say silver as well. Dutch libertarian Andy Schecter the the Dutch bank says they have a gold revalue account. Why do you think? I think there was a Dutch central banker a year or two ago who said that you have to hold gold because if the system implodes, you can always start again with gold. I think that's what he meant. Requa says gold is liquid at 1,064 degrees centigrade. Born to be free, born to free, taxed to death. Gold is zero risk asset and is recognized all over the world. Yeah. MW01908. What I hate about gold is that you pay a dealer markup to buy it, then mark down to sell it. It's not just gold that you do that with. It's anything you buy. When the farmer sells food to a supermarket, the supermarket marks that up. If you try to go back to the supermarket and sell it to them, they won't even buy it. So the reason this has happened is because they demonetize gold. But I mean, you can use gold as money if you find a like-minded person who will accept gold or silver in exchange for items. Yeah, the dealers, if they didn't make a spread, bid and offer, they wouldn't be in business, and we wouldn't be able to buy gold or sell gold or buy gold or buy silver for that matter. So it's the same thing with the stock. If you go to your stockbroker and you buy some stock, they're going to charge commission. When you sell, they're going to charge commission because they have to, yeah, they have to run. The business doesn't run, um, yeah, out of thin air. Moonraker says, yeah, I think in Asia, they, it's much more. It's a bigger market, so they don't take as much. They almost pay spot. But there are dealers that you can look online, like here in the UK. Sometimes they pay spot if you want to sell. JK, what would you do if the UK government confiscated gold? Um, it's very hard for them to come knock door to door. Uh, they've never done that before, but what would I do? I mean, I try to hide it. That's what I would do. But the thing is, they're confiscating everything right now. They're confiscating farms. They're confiscating people's incomes. They're confiscating people's investments. So right now, they're not confiscating gold. They're not confiscating tax capital gains tax for gold that is coins of the realm. So at the moment, it's still in my opinion, it's a safe place to be. But yeah, with governments, you never know. But they can come after anything. Scott 49, 140, would the leasing get in the way of going back on a gold standard of some kind after a collapse? Well, if there was a collapse, I think the leasing scheme would have ended already. You know, it won't get in the way. They will just like write off everything, and all the paper contracts will be null and void, and you probably wouldn't be able to get physical gold and silver once the leasing scheme collapsed. Ryan Morosi, do you think the attention economy is a commodity? Could shows like yours be securitized and sold on an exchange with other shows? Does the attention economy translate into real money in your opinion? Well, this is like social media now, and I think I it's already monetized. I mean, I do put adverts on my videos, and I do get paid from Google. And I've noticed actually that the revenues have gone up a bit. I know my views, I'm getting a lot more views, but I think a lot more people are going on the internet and watching more YouTube and other social media, and they're giving up on television and the mainstream media, uh, yeah, mainstream news, and so. I don't really understand what you mean by the attention economy. It's more like a social media. And I think people like to listen to other just normal, regular people. I mean, I've never worked on in mainstream media or anything. I'm not famous or anything. And people just want some of that. They just want to listen to just regular people. And yes, I think it's quite revolutionary because when I started back in late 2015, I never thought that I'd have 118,000 subscribers and that I'd get an income from this. And that's what I do now. And I enjoy doing it. It's not like a job. Um, yeah, so that's how I see it. Rick Enfed, Dirty Man Safe works good for me. Yeah, Dirty Man Safe is a good way to yeah, keep some of your valuables safe. And they're one of my um affiliates. And that's another thing people sometimes don't understand. Like I have Dirty Men Safe. I'm affiliated with Gold Investments here in the UK and Andy Schechtman and Miles Franklin in the US. What that means is doesn't mean they pay me to talk about them. Uh, I earn a small commission if they do business with you. That's all it means. And yeah, I'm fine working with them because they're good guys. And so is Dirty Men Safe. Yeah, and if some of you want to look into it, all the details are below in the description of all my videos. That's a way that to help the channel as well, because then I can just keep doing this instead of having to do something else. My favorite 1 ounce coin, Iron Jack. Um, I have to say it's the Krugerrand, 1 ounce Krugerrand, and I assume you mean gold. And it's because it was the first gold coin that I bought. It's not a beautiful coin, but it's just solid. Yeah, I like the Krugerrand. And the other reason I like it is because it's 22 carat. So it's not 999 or 24 carat. And I think the 24 carat coins, they're too yeah, they're delicate. And you want a gold coin that doesn't get damaged, and that's why I like the Krugerrand as a 1 ounce gold coin. I also like the pre-1933 $20 gold coins, but they're not really technically an ounce. They're about 0.9675 of an ounce. I like those too. Shehan, hi, Mary. Do you still think the government created Bitcoin? Appreciate not your thing, but interest to know why if you still see it that way. Of course, yeah, I still do. Uh, I was contacted. I can't say his name. He worked for the regulators here in the UK back in 2003. He was contracted by them, the FSA or FCA, whatever. They've changed their names a few times. And this guy told me that they were talking about Bitcoin back in 2003. And then the SEC um, told the UK regulator to stop talking about Bitcoin, that no mention of Bitcoin. And And then a few years later, Bitcoin came out, the white paper. And what he told me they used Bitcoin for is for the gamers in 2003, and it was for a lot of the dirty money within government. They could transfer it through Bitcoin. That's what it was for. And I think they've used it as uh, like a distraction away from real money, gold and silver, especially after the '08 crisis. It's interesting that it came out in '09. So yeah, like Dutch libertarian, um, yeah, Bitcoin is like this guy he explained to me a lot about the internet, how it started with DARPA. So everything has a backdoor to DARPA on the internet, and so does Bitcoin. And that's why the Chinese and the Russians have a different internet now because they know that. Chris Conman, thank you for your super chat. Uh, will the bond market allow 20 trillion deficits under the incoming Trump administration? Will this cause rates to skyrocket? 20 trillion. Wow, that's a huge deficits. 20 trillion. I mean, we're around 2 trillion right now. Are you sure you mean 20 trillion deficits? I mean, I think the 10-year yield would be at 20% if that were to happen. No, the bond market wouldn't like that. And I think I was listening to Pierre Lassonde the other day. He gave an interview and he said he hasn't been as happy as he is about gold. Yeah, he's never been as happy. And he said it's because Trump won, because he thinks Trump is going to spend a lot more than the other lot would have spent. So there you go. Sharon Romano says my daughter was mining Bitcoin in college. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people mine Bitcoin. I think now it's a really hard to mine. It's not as cheap. Well, they call it mining, but it's coding really. I mean, it's interesting that even the name Bitcoin, that comes from, the Spanish silver dollar. It was cut in pieces of eight. The old pirate saying, pieces of eight. Because if you couldn't get change, you just cut the coin in eight, and each of those eighths of a Spanish silver dollar was called a bit. So it was a Bitcoin. So they copy everything to do with gold and silver. You notice that the pictures of Bitcoin, well, there is no Bitcoin really. It's just like a something imaginary on the internet. But all the pictures are gold coins, and people think it's real, but it's not. So there you go. Michael Kennedy, no, there's no capital gains tax on silver Britannias because they're coins of the realm. Not in the UK. I'm not sure where you are, but in the UK, there's no capital gains tax on any, not just Britannias, but any other Royal Mint coins that are made of silver and have King Charles on it or the Queen Elizabeth II on it. So no capital gains tax there. Carlos says bits are bases of computer code too. Yeah, but Bitcoin is really the old name of a piece of eight. So uh, Pino Kunchner, what does coins of the realm? Well, they're coin because the UK is a kingdom realm. Coins of the realm, they're coins minted within the UK. So that's what it means. Coins minted in the UK by the state. James, why don't you like Bitcoin? Have you read the bullish case for Bitcoin? Uh, I looked into Bitcoin back in 2011, 2012, and I liked Bitcoin, but then I just think that yeah, I don't trust it. Not that I don't dislike like it. I just think it's too much of no, it's too much of a bubble, and I prefer gold and silver. I mean, all the things that they said about Bitcoin have changed. Bitcoin was supposed to be a way to get out of the current financial system, a way to get out of the banking sector, a way to transfer uh, wealth really quickly. It was supposed to be a method of payment. I remember people starting companies that with a card that you could pay for coffee with Bitcoin, but that's all gone out the window. And yeah, and that's the way I see it anyway. Uh, but if people want to buy Bitcoin, that's their business. But I'm covering gold and silver here because I think gold and silver have the track record, and Bitcoin doesn't. And a lot of people say, "Oh, it's because you're too old. You can't." No, but I've read all about it. I've read about the, Byzantium general's dilemma and all that. How Bitcoin is, you don't have to have trust because everyone sees what's happening. But at the same time, there's no real value there. The only value is that it it costs so much. Of computer and electric power and like to solve the problem, and you get nothing for it. I mean, when you mine for gold, yes, there's a lot of energy spent, a lot of drilling and a lot of work, and but at least you get something in return. With Bitcoin, you get nothing in return. That's the problem I have with it. Yeah, I know all that, Seihan. So what? We could create something called a Monaco coin, and we make it 10 million only. And it would be fixed supply and immutable and transparent. So, I mean, anyone can create the same thing. I guess the reason Bitcoin is popular now is because of the network effect, but anyone could create it. And it says Gold Britannia's and Sovereign's low premium and no capital gains and capital gains tax free. Yeah, right now the premiums are low, but it doesn't, it's not all the time that they're low. So it does fluctuate. When they'll change, Gordon Brown coin. Yeah, I don't think I'd buy that. Oh, talking about Monaco coin, I saw that like a 10-year-old boy or something. He created his own digital coin and he made $30,000 the other day. I mean, it's crazy. That's a mark of a bubble. MicroStrategy, yeah. Well, they remind MicroStrategy reminds me of the Bank Royale, which was the bank that John Law created during the Mississippi bubble. And the person, well, I can't say anymore, but yeah, MicroStrategy, I mean, they've been borrowing a lot of dollars to buy Bitcoin, and let's hope for them that interest rates don't spike any higher. Over here, have you ever heard and do you believe the magnetic poles are shifting? Yeah, I've heard of that. I'm not, I haven't really looked too much into it, but I think they do shift. Don't know exactly what the impact is. Great 68, 21 million tulips. Yeah, that's a good one. Question everything you can't counterfeit Bitcoin. Well, you can't counterfeit gold either. Yeah, there are people who try to create fake gold, but it's not real gold. There's only one gold and silver. Anyway, let's move on. Iron Jack, if you could have one new guest on your channel ever, would it be from the precious metals space and why? Who would I like to talk to? Um, oh, it could be, it doesn't necessarily need to be from the precious metal space. I mean, there's a lot of people that I'd like to have on, and I've contacted them and I never heard back. Who would I like to have on? I mean, I've had Ron Paul. Um, Actually, I like to have Alan Greenspan on because I think he's an interesting guy. I know he was a central banker, but he also believes in gold he believes in small government, I think, and it would be interesting to have him. When they'll change, Linda Lusardi, I've heard of her. Yeah, I mean, she's before my time in that I only moved to the UK in 1992, but I've heard of her. I think she was a page three girl, right? Greg Manorino, yeah, he's an interesting guy. Um, Judge Napolitano, I like him. The angel coins of the Isle of Man considered coins of the realm. You'd have to check that. Probably not. Even though they're a crown dependency, I think they're not part of the UK, the Isle of Man. But check with the dealer, maybe they might know. Wojak, I interviewed Andrew Scheckman the other day. I interview him regularly, so there you go. Um, what was the effect of Gordon Brown selling half our gold reserves on the leasing? Well, it helped a big time because there were actually rumors back then that the leasing scheme was in trouble and that gold was gonna go through the roof. And the rumor was that it was Goldman Sachs. So a lot of people think that he sold that gold in order to in order for the bullion banks to be able to cover their shorts because there was a short squeeze. So yeah, it actually kept the gold leasing going, in my opinion, what Gordon Brown did. P.S. Can you please have David Rogers Webb? Well, I spoke about his book like last year, in September. I read the book and I made quite a few videos. I tried to contact him, never heard back from him, but I'll try again. Mervyn King, yeah, I've actually been in contact with his secretary a few times, and she always says that he's too busy to come on my channel. So there you go. Um, yeah, I think, I would be civil to, I'm civil to anyone, but I don't think he would like the tough questions about the whole system and the central banking, the idea of central banking. I would ask him, if we're supposed to have a free market and freedom, how come we have central banks? And he probably wouldn't want to really have that question, and that's what I would ask him. I mean, I'm sure Alan Greenspan would answer that, and he would say, yes, Under the gold standard and no central bank, the US economy did a lot better in the 19th century. But one thing he told Ron Paul is that um, the problem with the system is that the people they vote for the politicians that promise them everything. So you can't have a gold standard and sound money if the people want everything from politicians. Um, and he's right about that. Silver Task says the national debt is out of control. Yeah, and it's going to get even more out of control because our monetary, and I say it like this. Oh, what's this? Balloons coming through the screen. Our monetary system is based on ever increasing debt. It's a debt-based system. So the debt is going parabolic and it's going to get worse. One day it will all explode, and that's going to make this priceless. Ryan Morosi, thank you for your super chat. Get with David Lynn. Do you think the governments of the world will try to use Bitcoin to refinance the debts? Do you think they could succeed? No, it would be like the mandat territorial. It would be a failure because there's nothing behind Bitcoin. You might as well do the million dollar platinum coin or whatever. The only way, the only way to refinance the debts, well, there is no way to refinance the debt. The only way to refinance the debt is doing what they're doing by issuing even more and more debt. One day, though, all the debts are gonna be, um, they're gonna be worthless, or they're gonna disappear through bankruptcy. Yeah, through hyperinflation, when the people don't want the currency anymore, they lose faith, or through a deflationary collapse when they actually allow the debt to be extinguished. And it almost happened during the European sovereign debt crisis, 2011, 2012. But Mario Draghi, the ECB president, he kicked the can down the road. He said, we're going to do everything it takes. And by that, he meant we're going to print more and more money, the central bank, to keep that debt from collapsing. Alan Greenspan is here. He says Satoshi equals Alan Greenspan. I don't think so. I think it was, what's his name? The I forgot his name. He's got a YouTube channel, and that's what he says. Uh, I forgot his name now. He's into silver as well, but I don't believe Alan Greenspan is Satoshi Nakamoto. Martin Bakken, you have the same hairstyle as me. Yeah, not much hair left. The life of jewels. Will gold and silver be relevant during extreme war, or will people cling to currency? Uh, Domestically, yeah, people might cling to currency, but internationally, if there is a major war, currency will not be accepted. Even Greenspan said that during times of crisis like that, wars and stuff, only gold and silver really are accepted as payments. We got about 12 minutes still. Over here, yeah, I've had Jack from Nobody Special Finance on, and I've been on his channel as well. Maybe I can contact him again. I'm gonna have someone interesting I'm gonna interview on Wednesday. I'm not gonna tell you who it is yet. It will be a first. I'm looking forward to speaking with him. Alex, if currency is worthless, then how can it be debt? It's not backed by anything, therefore it's worthless as so the debt is nothing. While the only reason the debt is worth something right now is because you have to pay your taxes with that currency and you're forced to do it. And there are legal tender laws that also say that you have to use that currency. The only reason it has some worth something is because we're forced to use it. But ever since 1971, um, the dollar has gone down from 1/35th of an ounce to 2,700th of an ounce. So the currency is becoming worth less and less. And that's why the cost of living is going up so much for the bottom 50%, especially. Not so much for the top 10 or the top 1% or, well, top 1 and 0.1% because they have a lot of assets to protect themselves against the worthlessness of the currency. Hi, Mary, do you own any 1/10 Britannias? No, I don't. I think I have, yeah, I have 1/10 maple leaves, gold maple leaves. And I got those when I had an account with gold money. I redeemed the account and they sent me those 1/10 of an ounce maple leaves. In the UK, really, I prefer having sovereigns um, or 1 ounce Britannias, but 1/10 I don't have. Yeah, Martin Bierbakken. Tally sticks are really interesting. Yeah, the bankers don't like that because it's the under control of the king or queen. That was before the Bank of England was around, and they were around until I think the 1800s, tally sticks. And if you don't know what it is, I'm not going to talk about it here. Just Google it. It's a really interesting way for the government to finance itself. Iron Jack, is it common knowledge that there is less silver the deeper you go into the earth, but more gold than there is near the surface? I'm not sure. You could be right. I mean, I didn't know about that. Yeah. So there you go. No, James Lavender, I don't have any platinum. Not that I don't think it's a good place to be. It's just that it's not really the reason that I buy precious metals is more of a monetary thing, and I think platinum might do well, but I focus on gold and silver. Ryan Morosi, are you seeing an increase in the number of people leaving the UK? Um, I mean, I'm hearing a lot that people are leaving and reading about it, but personally, I don't know anyone who's left the UK. Chris Dwayne from Silver Shield on. Yeah, I've followed that guy many years ago. He's an interesting guy, yeah. Bradbury Pound, George Benson. Uh, I think Bradbury Pound is just like fiat currency. It's just like MMT. And the only reason it was used was because of the war as an emergency. I don't think it's a solution to, uh, I think yeah, because the Bradbury Pound would have to have legal tender laws. And it was an emergency. It's not real money. I think the market and individuals should decide what's money, and they have over the years. It's been silver really here in the UK, gold as well, but not historically has always been silver. So, and the word pound is because the currency here was a pound of sterling silver. Yeah, that's what it was. So, yeah, the Bradbury pound doesn't. Yeah, I don't think it's a solution. A lot of people think it is. It's just like allowing the government to print as much money as it wants. I know it doesn't incur a debt, but it's a tax because they can just print the money and buy things from you without really earning that money. Jeff Yu from sunny Bradenton, Florida. Oh, you're welcome. No wonder it's the Sunshine State, right? Yeah, they had to pay it off eventually. The bankers made them pay it off, the Bradbury pound. Rudy doesn't sleep all the time. It's just that I got him used to being on the sofa like Billy used to be when he was a puppy. So he knows when I'm here talking to you guys or making recording a video that he has to be there. But no, he loves doing stuff. But right now he's asleep. Amused reindeer, how do you feel about new EU coalition continuing World War III? Uh, what can I do? I don't know. I just think a lot of it is scaremongering, to be honest. Um, we'll have to see. I mean, the EU doesn't have much firepower. And I'm not sure that the next US administration would want to be involved in it. Jake's Custom Parts, thank you for your super chat. It says good job. Thanks. Let's see how many signatures there are right now. Wow, that's it's going really quickly. It's going it's I think it's these signatures for the this petition to Parliament to call for a general election. It's moving quicker than the US national debt. I think when we started the live stream, it was at 1.57 million. Now it's 1.644 million. Wow. They'll probably just ignore it though. They won't do anything about it. We've got 3 minutes, so if you have any more questions, feel free to ask. Paul Patterson says we hate Starmer. Yeah, I mean, I'm usually apolitical, as you know. I don't think voting, if voting mattered, it would be illegal. But this government is really, really something else. Um, it makes Rishi Sunak look like a saint. What silver treasures are on my shelf? Well, I have some golf prizes up there, up here. Some of my prize, not all of them. And I have a Billy coin when, yeah, and I have like a 10-ounce bar. I have a 10-ounce coin. And I've also got, yeah, I've got the, over here, that's a Krugerrand paperweight. It's not real gold, but Gold Investments, I think they have some if you want. It's like a Krugerrand coin. There's some silver bars here. there's this Billy coin here. When Billy passed away, someone had a Billy coin made. It's made of silver. And this is my 100,000 subscriber. It's not real silver, but it's the YouTube, you know, prize for 100,000 subscribers. Scott 49 on 40 still doesn't understand synthetic CDOs. It's just they're just bets on bets on bets. It's just craziness. They're just derivatives. That's all they are. Oh, MM No is here. Nice to see you, MM No. Haven't seen you in a while. Gold is safe, Steve Mnuchin said, and gold is safe. First began to follow gold in junior high school. It was less than 40 bucks an ounce back then. Now I'm 68 years old and gold is 2,700 bucks. Yeah, he didn't say the gold, the gold here in Fort Knox is safe. He just said it, generally speaking, gold is safe. Um, Mr. B is here too. Thanks for all the moderators here. Nice to see you again. And well, it's time for me to go. It's 10 o'clock here. And of course, I'm going to wish all of you a great week. And for my viewers in the States, I know it's going to be the Thanksgiving week. And yeah, I hope you have a great time with your families during Thanksgiving. We don't celebrate it here, but I still want to wish you a great Thanksgiving. And in Canada, you have Thanksgiving as well. I'm not sure when that is, and I'm sorry that I don't know. So there you go. Let's Yeah, so again, have a great week, guys, and thanks for being here and for following me and for supporting the channel. Take care. Bye.